What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you a demonstration of the user interface. So what I'm going to do is just quickly share back my screen and show you my Teams environment. So here it is. Hopefully it looks very similar to your existing environments, maybe with a few different changes for those of you that haven't moved into Teams Phone yet or haven't looked at that in the past. Ultimately, the biggest change you'll see is the addition of this dial pad. You can type any contact internally, so I can search for Adele, who is one of my colleagues, if I wish. And also, I can search for any mobile number. So I can type in any mobile number I wish and make a call outbound in that fashion. I've got the dial pad. I can type the digits without using the dial pad, but I just use my keypad on the laptop. It's just as easy. You also get your number. So this is the number associated to my team. So I'll have my own dedicated DDI. If I called Ricky, it would show this number on Ricky's device, and he would know it was me calling. But if, for example, I wanted to call as a different number, so say I was part of the sales team or the ticket box office team, I could present out the ticket box office number. So I can change the number that I present outbound when making every call. So if I'm calling someone I know, I might present my own number. But if I'm calling to a new client, possibly using the business name, I could absolutely do that as well in there. That might have given you a clue where I'm originally from, despite living in Cardiff. That might give you a clue. But ultimately, what I would say here is you've got call history here. You've got the ability to see missed calls, incoming calls, outgoing calls. You can see all of that. Voicemail, if I click on that, the nice thing about voicemail is I can listen to the voicemail like I would normally do, but also I can read the voicemail. What we all do, the amount of times we have voicemails which say, can you give me a call back? Rather than having to waste our time listening to it, I can just give it a quick read and give that call back around that. You've also got things like speed dial, so any contacts you're ringing on regular occurrence, key customers, key suppliers, the sandwich van, whatever it may be, you can make it quick and easy for you to dial those numbers without having to type their name or number in that box. You've also got your contacts list, so any contacts you can add in there, you can absolutely do so, and you can call those numbers as and when you see fit and as and when you need, and build that contacts list for yourself in there. So in a nutshell, nice and user friendly. You will hopefully see that it's not too dissimilar to what you may be using today. You've also got different settings just for anyone who's possibly managing the IT or in charge of kind of controlling and manage what capabilities each user has. When I go into settings, whatever settings I see here will depend on what I was given by the admin. So anyone with the Teams admin access would decipher what access you have within here. I've been given a lot of functionality in truth because I'm the admin and I'm the user. So you choose what happens if someone rings for 30 seconds. Well, I want it to go to voicemail, but I could send it to someone else. I could send it to other people, other groups if I wish. Different ringtones for forwarded calls rather than direct calls. You can record your voicemail message. One of the bits that I really like that is often overlooked is we're looking at the Teams ecosystem here. In Teams, we can integrate with other Microsoft applications. So if you had your automatic replies on, say I was on holiday till the 1st of January, I wish, but never mind. If I click tick, then I could ultimately put in here, are you through to Matthew in the sales team? Apology, I'm on annual leave. You'll now be forwarded to the internal sales team. So it's just that able to integrate with that automatic replies that you have in Outlook and put that into your voicemail as well. There's lots of other things that you can do. If you do want more detail around it, please do reach out to Ricky and the team there. These little blue parts here, I'll just make reference to these. This is where if you wanted to do some sort of team leader role, so say you had a team leader of the accounts team, what they could do is they could have ad hoc permissions to make a change to the welcome greeting. You don't have to grant this, but you can. So if, say, for example, the accounts team had someone calling sick on Monday, they may say, welcome to fan support. Your calls may be delayed due to staff sickness. So it's where you can have the ability to make ad hoc changes as a team leader, as what we call an authorized user within there. I will make a call, don't worry, I'm not going to evade that part. The last thing I want to show you just before I make a call is this Teams area. Some of you may use the Teams channels area today for departments. If I just look at this ticket team, you will use posts, you may use file sharing to collaborate as a department, as a group. But what also is enabled is this calls area. This is where you can see ultimately all of the calls, ingoing, outgoing, and also voicemail. So this is your shared voicemail. So if, for example, I was the accounts team again, or the ticket team, we'll take the example on the screen. If I was the ticket team and someone called at midnight, nobody in my team is working, they could then leave, it might autofill to a voicemail. All of these voicemails will be accessible to everyone in that team, in that ticket team. So it's a collaborative area for calling. Also, that can go to your Outlook inboxes if you wish as well, in there. You've got the dial pad, so you can make calls in here if you wish. And also, if you wish to, you can actually give your agents more control and flexibility to toggle in and out when using this. So if they're going for lunch, they could toggle out and they would not receive calls to that call queue hunt group that they're part of. So that's just a bit around how you can take some advancements to just making calls and receiving calls individually. That's where you can start to bring in those teams and start to embrace the wider function. So just going to load up my mobile device. I'm just using my my personal mobile here. I'm just going to make a call, and it's just called in, and it just said the announcement. So it's just about a call, and you can see I've called our box office number. It's brought up my details. It's brought up my the saved item in my contacts list. I can then click accept. When I'm in the call, you will see I'm now on the call. I've got it muted just so I don't hear myself 100 times over. If I was calling a main business number and they had press 1 for this, press 2 for this, I can use the dial pad up here to do so. I could put the customer on hold. I might need to ask a colleague a question. I can put them on hold and wait for them to do so. All of that hold music is customizable. You can change it between different users, different departments. You can absolutely do whatever you wish there. Also, you've got the transfer option. So the transfer option gives you 2 pieces of functionality. So you can do the blind transfer. So that's where Ricky has called me up and he wants to speak to Eve, and I just say click transfers, search Eve, and then transfer that call through. Nice and easy. If Eve didn't answer, it would go to her overflow that might be a voicemail. That's the standard. The alternative is that consultant transfer. So this might be where somebody might be asking a specific question, or might have might need them to run through a large case that may take up some time. So I might want to speak to Eve and say, Ricky's on the phone asking about this. Do you have enough time to talk about this? Or shall I suggest I'll call him back? So we can consult and transfer. If I just show you this consult and transfer here, so it's just put that calling party on hold. I can then search for anyone in my organization. So just imagine they wanted to speak to Adele. I can click on Adele. And what's really good with Teams, and this is something that is obviously, really good, is the presence. So here in this circle, we've got that cross. That cross is actually showing that she's offline. So in this scenario, we probably wouldn't want to transfer that call to her. What we can do is, if they were online, you'd be able to see the green, yellow, and red of Teams. If they were green, we might choose to call them, and that'll be where I'd speak to Adele and give her a bit of information. If she was free, I could transfer the call, and I would transfer using this transfer button up here, which says resume, which would train to transfer. If she was red or yellow, we could actually use the chat function. So this is where we're bringing all of that kind of UCaaS functionality of both calling and chat into one. So you'll see the presence and you can decipher what would be the best way to consult Adele before we actually transfer that call. So how best to give her a warning. And that's where the presence of Teams can really work effectively, especially when you're working, well, not only just in office environments, but actually home working. When people are at home, you can start to understand if people are busy, if people are free. So you can see here I'm showing as red because I'm on a call, so I'm not going to be able to answer that call. You've also got the way of merging calls if you wish. You can add extra participants to make it a three-way call. You can do that there and just invite someone in. You've also got more. So in more, you've got the ability to do various settings. You've got the record and transcribe in Teams. If you wish to use that. The key thing with the record and transcribe built within Teams is that is convenience recording. That is where me as an agent would always have to click start to start the recording. What I will talk about later in the value add section is how we can add compliance recording where it automatically invokes the call recording. So hold that thought and I'll get onto that very soon around that. But the setting that I really want to show you here is park call. So this is another way that you can transfer calls around a business. Where I see this a real fit is if any of you have one single person answering calls, possibly someone in a environment of a possibly receptionist role. If I click park call here, this will put the calling party on hold. So they will hear that hold music. And you can see here, it's giving me a code. Number 11, pretty nice and straightforward. I can't copy it if I'm really lazy, but it's only 2 digits, but just in case I forget. Me as that initial receptionist who answered that call will then see the call sat here. So I can put that call on hold. I can see they're waiting there. I can see I've got call park on hold. I could have 2 or 3 calls in there just on hold, waiting for those people to be available. What I could do is I could use the system and go to the chat function. I could message possibly Alex and say, call park slot 11. If they're in call park slot 11, and that person was maybe at the toilet, or I could see they were talking to someone, they weren't free to take that call, they could then be given that code. That person who I've given that code to would then just go to this park call section on their device, whether that be on their mobile app, whether that be on their desktop app, whether that be on the web browser, which is what I'm using today. They would go into here and put 11 and they would click pick up. And once they do that, it will then connect them back to the caller. And they will be able to receive the call. So now all I have to do when I'm ready is just click resume. And then I've now taken that call as that new agent. I'm in the call. So that's another way of how we can navigate around transferring calls around the business there. So that is the end of the user demonstration of how we use the platform. The only thing I'll just make reference to is the Teams Admin Center, just so you're aware. In this voice section, you will see all of your phone numbers. So you can see all of your phone numbers in one single pane of glass, who they're assigned to, whether that's users, whether that's auto attendance call queues. You can see all of that within there. You then configure the whole phone system in this section here. So all the policies, auto attendance call queues, you can absolutely do that as and when you see fit around that. If you want more detail around the Teams Admin Center, what you can do, how you can configure things, please do reach out to Ricky and Eve. Please do just mention in the chat that you wish to have an additional demo, and we can absolutely jump on and show you what can be configured in that area. If I'm honest, you can pretty much do, well, I'd like to imagine you can do most of what you have today in this, because it is quite a feature-rich phone system.